Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now, if you're new to the channel, I just provide you with a technical analysis. There's no bias here, but I can tell you that Atom, Cosmos, very, very good coin. Just really good fundamentals, testing its all-time high right now, and it's going to be doing some pretty cool things here in the near future. So excited to see what happens with that. But thank you so much to my patrons for recommending that I cover this here. I wouldn't be here without you. I really do appreciate you. And future reference too, if you do not know much about my Patreon account, I actually have signals that I send out every time I take a trade. So I essentially share my trades with my community members, best practice, entry points, profit targets, sell targets, everything you need to know to be, better. And all in all, I average about an 80% success rate in the last 3 months alone since that has started. So really good stuff. All in all, super happy with the progress so far. We think we're closer to about 50 members now in just a short amount of time. So it's growing quick. Jump on in there if you get a chance. But again, thank you so much to my patrons for recommending that I cover this. And just so you know, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You always need to do your own research. And what I mean by that is take ownership of your own trades and be the best trader you can be, but learn as much as you can from as many different people as possible. Right? Don't just take what I say here as gospel. Yes, I'm very good at my my job, and I'm really good with trading and analyzing charts. Take what you can from everyone. That's the bottom line here. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for other people that I've shadowed and essentially learned from. Yes, I have experience the industry, but more importantly, I've learned a lot vicariously by understanding everything from everyone else. So enough about that. Just want to let you know you're in good hands. You'll probably learn a thing or two here today if you're new to the channel. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here. All right, why don't we just go ahead and jump into the charts? Without further ado, let's get to it. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here at Cosmos. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first to get a quick baseline on the market, just so we know exactly what's going on before we jump in and make an investment, right? So any good trader will look at Bitcoin and or Ethereum prior to jumping in. Obviously, Ethereum if you're investing in an ERC20 blockchain altcoin, but more importantly, Bitcoin, hands down, always have to know what's going on there. And the main reason why, obviously, is because Bitcoin is a catalyst for all the price movement in the market, right? Most coins do move independent, but also concurrent with Bitcoin, and they're very reliant on it. So that being said, we'll go and take a look here. And to preface, I always use TradingView.com desktop application. Link in the description below for a free month if you want to check that out. I like it because it gives you more than 2 indicators present at any given time, which is very much a necessary thing, especially if you're going to be following along and doing things that I do here. Again, it's not foolproof, don't get me wrong. I'm only 80% successful for the most part with everything that I do in trading, but generally speaking, it definitely has its merit, right? So we'll check that out here. You'll see what I'm referring to if you're not a returning viewer. Now, Bitcoin on the 4-hour chart, let's take a quick look here. We're below both moving averages and also the 50-day simple moving average, of course, but more importantly, 46,800 is the resistance, okay? Now, I didn't have to bring this up because I get this question a lot. The fact of the matter is the price is not above and did not close above the resistance level of 46,800 on the 1-day chart. Therefore, it's still considered a resistance until it's broken and the 1-day chart closes above. So we won't see this for another 23 hours. We'll need to find out tomorrow if it's worth taking investment, because I never like to buy into a resistance level. I like to buy at supports, right? So if the price comes down just say to 44,000, I'll be likely to jump in at that point. But more importantly, what I look for is to break the resistance level, create a new support, and then go from there. So this is still considered a resistance. Keep that in mind. 46,800 is the resistance for Bitcoin. All right, major resistance, of course, is 50,000. That is well above the price right now. We don't need to worry about that for the moment. And of course, 44,000 is a support level for Bitcoin at this present time. So keep that in mind. Now moving on to Ethereum, very similar scenario here. It is moving very, very similar to Bitcoin. It does this a lot. A lot of times it'll just kind of follow suit and then take off on its own. Now that's exciting because the fact that Bitcoin has Ethereum has taken off and done very well outside of Bitcoin and did that recently, obviously before the sell-off April 17th when things went crazy, or sorry, just after, but before the China candle. And long story short here is that Ethereum is kind of the coin that people go to when Bitcoin's going sideways for too long. And Bitcoin did that for quite some time here recently. Ethereum took off, tested 4,000 and rejected, but also, more importantly, sold up heavily here for obvious reasons based on that whole debacle a couple of days ago here earlier in the week. We all know that happened, regardless of the fact that is essentially where we're at for now. So Ethereum is under the previous support of 35.50, now a major resistance, and a support level here is about 32.50. So it's got a $300 range or channel that it's working within. It's below the 50 and above the 200. So all in all, normal standard Ethereum stuff right now. I wouldn't expect it to take off unless Bitcoin breaks 46,800. We got to wait for that. All right, let's go ahead and take a look here at Cosmos. And just before we do, we always make sure to take a quick look at the one-day chart. Now, the most recent, I believe it's the all-time high. I could be wrong, but I'm only looking at the last year. But the most recent all-time high is $29.55. It's currently testing that right now. And here's what's crazy. This candlestick just started an hour ago. So I think we're up a decent percent. I mean, it tested, it bounced up. I mean, we're looking at about 12% increase in just under an hour. Obviously, it's retracing some. That has to happen. But all in all, it's looking very good. And here's another reason why that's probably happening right now, too. And that's the main reason why I sent out the signal recently for Adam as well to my patrons is the simple fact that we have a golden cross created here, right? You see that where this line intersects in an upward fashion? That is a very big catalyst for a lot of price movement in the market. And the main reason why is just because they're both support levels, and the 50 moves faster than the 200, so it typically drives the price up regardless of the occasion. Now, it's kind of a strange anomaly that happens infrequently, but for the most part, I would say 70-80% of the time, the price will increase based on the sentiment alone, even though it doesn't have to be touching or coming close to the price. It can just be in the area, and people go crazy bonkers and want to drive the price up. So that could be causing the price action here today, likely as well from yesterday, but more importantly, keep in mind, yesterday was just that reaction to the fact that Cosmos needs to be much higher than it was, right? So this was a good value down here if you'd got in there. That bear in mind, that's a support level about $20.75. Presently, right now, the new support, since the one-day chart closed above, is right now $25.70. So $25.70. If the price comes back down, it should bounce off of that and hold as a support. But obviously, right now, it's testing the resistance level here at about 29.55. So we'll see here soon if it can break and stay above. We have the next 23 hours for that to occur. But my guess here, and again, this is just purely based on analyzing charts all day, every day. This has performing extremely similar to a few other coins out there that have just took off and broke, their previous all-time high. Okay, so bear that in mind. This is performing very, very well, and I feel like it's going to break and just continue upwards from there. So I still feel like even $29 in any sense is still a good value. Thankfully, my patrons and we got in around 25. That's when I sent out the signal. But I can tell you this thing is going to continue, just based on a lot of different factors. But obviously, Golden Cross is a good start, right? So we got a convergence on the MACD. Obviously, that occurred based on the simple fact that we had to have the price respond. We're still under 70 on the RSI. That's fantastic. It means we still got plenty of room for growth here. So I think Atom, Cosmos, whatever you want to call it, is going to be doing very well in the near future. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we can go ahead and see the convergence, obviously, that just occurred. That's pretty standard based on the simple fact that the price came down, bounced off the 200-day simple moving average, and came back up. So all in all, pretty good stuff here from Atom. I really like what I'm seeing here. Let's take a look at the 1-hour chart and see if we're above the cloud. It's kind of a no-brainer. Of course, we're above the cloud. That's pretty standard. But just to educate you if you're new to the channel, the Ichimoku cloud is a really good indication of a buy signal or a sell signal. So obviously we didn't see this one coming here. Well, kind of, we could have almost seen it. If you see here where the price broke below the cloud, for example, right here, and had you sold right there, that would have been a great consideration for a sell signal based on the fact that you're below the cloud and obviously shortly after everything tanked. Okay. Now, again, we didn't see that coming. It's hard to really buy into, scenarios like this when the price is going sideways, honestly. You want to wait for a breakout above the cloud and maybe have a MACD convergence as well in the 4-hour chart or the 1-day chart. But generally speaking, that's something you want to look for. And, when the price is above, just say hypothetically you'd take an entry right here, you'd be sitting pretty right now with a decent gain, right? So the gain would have been somewhere in the range of about 30%, 28 and some change. So that's pretty awesome. Again, pay attention to that when the price breaks above the cloud, it's always considered a buy signal. When it's within the cloud, it's kind of a no buy zone. Furthermore, just so you know, because a lot of people, I get this question a lot, when you enable the Ichimoku cloud, it looks pretty messy. It'll look something like this. Just disable the first 5 spans. or the leads, or whatever you want to call them. They go by different names. You disable the first 5 and just have that cloud enabled. It's much more helpful, less noise in the charts, because I prefer only to have 2 indicators present per time frame. Again, above and beyond or in conjunction with the RSI and MACD. Okay, so my favorite indicators on the 1-hour chart is Ichimoku. We just identified the price is above, and now it drove the price up over here. Keep in mind, if the price goes sideways too, the cloud has a tendency of working as a support level as well. So we got that working for us too. But the second thing I like to look at, and this is we probably got a reset here. It's not going to really help us all that much, but we got the TD sequential. Now TD sequential is cool because it helps us understand when there's market exhaustion, right? So if you see here, you see the count from 1 all the way down to a 9. When there's a 9, it highlights it automatically for you, and then it'll basically reset and go either sideways or bounce back up. Or obviously the inverse, the price is going up, you count to a 9, and then you have that exhaustion. The price will retrace and come back down and or go sideways. That's a very common theme with the TD sequential, okay? And what it's doing is just taking the 4th previous candlestick and analyzing if it's higher or lower than the current candlestick, and it keeps counting that direction. So that being said, right now we came up here right to an 8. Big surprise, the price retraced back down. You don't have to always hit a 9. Price came back down, retraced, bounced off of support, and continues upwards to test this resistance level, and now we're at a 3. So hypothetically, we have approximately 4, maybe 5 more hours. You could even say 6 more hours, because that candle's going to close here in just a moment, of bullish momentum, okay? There's a likelihood we could see this continuation for a good 5 to 10 hours if it breaks that resistance. The key takeaway here is, though, that even though Atom's doing very well, it would be very helpful for Bitcoin to surpass 46,800 and stay above for at least a few hours, right? It doesn't necessarily have to close in the 1-day chart for Atom or Cosmos to take off, but I can tell you that it's going to be very helpful. Had that happened just say a couple of hours ago, and that actually broke and stayed above, I guarantee this would be breaking this resistance level and making higher highs right now. That's why you look at Bitcoin first before you jump into any market, because they communicate with each other. Bear in mind that the reason why this happens is because you can buy Cosmos or Atom with Bitcoin, right? It's completely reliant on it. They don't think there's ever going to be a time in which Bitcoin can break free from other coins. Like, they're all going to be reliant on Bitcoin to an extent. So the sooner you understand that, the sooner you realize that, the better off you're going to be. That being said, let's go ahead and move on to the 15-minute chart and kind of wrap this up here and take a quick look at my 2 favorite indicators. So EMA is obviously indicating we have pretty strong bullish momentum. Price continues to bounce. We've also got the support level working as well there as well, so that's fantastic. All in all, things are looking good here. Bear in mind too, with the VWAP, it always resets at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That was roughly an hour ago. So you see this VWAP line kind of continuing over here, and then the price shoots up, or the VWAP shoots up to meet the price action. It has to reset every 24 hours because it's built on a traditional trading cycle, right? It's not an average volume weighted average price. It's a volume weighted average price for a 24-hour period. Therefore, all you need to remember with the VWAP is that it's considered to be a support level when the price is above, or when the price is below, it's a resistance, okay? Bear in mind also too, it does have standard deviation lines as well. So if you kind of take a look here, when the price breaks above those standard deviation lines, it has a tendency of coming back down eventually. Right, so obviously we see this pushing up really high. And then when this deviation here from the VWAP to the price action is over 10%, it's at 15, the price will continue to retrace and come back down to that norm, right? Because there's a gravity to trading, right? If it goes too high too fast, it has to come crashing back down. The best bull runs are those that go sideways for a little while, they shoot up and they go sideways again. You kind of get a staircase pattern. Speaking of staircase, let's go ahead and take a quick look and see if this is kind of fulfilling that. So we got a nice increase here, up and over. To an extent, it definitely is, right? Now again, you can draw anything on a chart and make it look like whatever you want. But for the most part, you can see that it has these nice, clean increases, followed by periods of consolidation. Even though the consolidation periods are going sideways and we have a retracement here, it's very healthy because it broke above support or broke above the previous resistance, of course, and now it is a support, okay? So a lot of things kind of go into this. You can't just look at it and say, okay, great, that's a good bull run. Generally speaking, when price continues to push up like that and stay above support, and then it's testing this new resistance level, I think we're gonna be seeing some awesome things here from Cosmos. So all in all, I like what I see here. My prediction or speculation here essentially is that this will surpass its previous all-time high very soon. Because again, the more often you test a resistance level, the more likely it is to break. Okay, imagine trying to kick a door down. Obviously, the first few kicks is going to be difficult unless you have one of those hammers or whatever they call it, or you're just a very strong person. You're probably not going to get through right away. This resistance level, previous all-time highs are very strong resistances. Okay, but when they break, because oftentimes there's a lot of short positions right there at the resistance, they might actually break very hard and very fast. So I'm speculating that when the price comes up here to test again, it'll break through eventually, and obviously it'll break through pretty hard. Okay. Another thing we might want to look at too, and again, I think we'll see a break really soon, but for the most part, if we want to kind of get, technical in that sense, you could kind of build an ascending wedge pattern here and kind of see the fact that it is creating one of those. Obviously, I think we're gonna see Atom take off within the next 24 to 48 hours. That's my guess. Because again, all Bitcoin needs to do is just have a little bit of an increase per day, like some comfortability in the market, and then coins like this will take off. Another thing to remember too is that 4-year cycle, 2013, 2017, September is typically a bearish month. It's very standard if you look at September, 4 years ago exactly, and then 8 years ago prior to that, you'll see bearish momentum. In other words, it typically corrects itself in that time frame. So we're seeing that right now. It doesn't usually last all month, but I can tell you that October and November are very, very strong. And the reason why that ties into this is, of course, once Bitcoin starts to recover and stop going sideways and has a little bit of an incline, we're going to see coins like this take off. Because the first wave after, for the altcoin season, essentially, what you can do to predict it is you can look at Ethereum and see what that is doing. So Ethereum's proven to be very independent in a lot of ways recently. Again, this reset button we had a few days ago with the El Salvador candle, that's a different story. But for the most part, Ethereum should be at about 4,000 right now if that hadn't happened. That's a big deal, right? That being said, once Ethereum breaks its previous all-time high, and we're gonna start seeing these type of coins taking off. In other words, the large market capitalization coins are going to be the second wave after Ethereum. The third wave is the small market capitalization coins that then take off afterwards. Okay, so you see some anomalies here and there, but for the most part, the small market caps are going to be the last ones to hit, and then it just starts going crazy after that. You'll see here in a couple months how insane it's going to get. But this is all good stuff, right? We just got to hold on to our positions, try not to sell. I would recommend obviously taking profits whenever possible. That is my MO essentially. That's how I stay profitable. But you want to go within reason, right? Some things maybe just sell 20-30% of your profits and then keep your position open, maybe buy the dip when it happens again and reinvest. Anyways, I tend to ramble. I apologize. I'm kind of going off the channel here. What I'm trying to get at is that Atom will take off in the very near future. I'm speculating within the next week, if not sooner, we're going to see new all-time highs from Cosmos, and we're going to see it just continue upwards. And I think it's realistic for this to probably, I would say probably 2x at least. I think $60 is very realistic based on the fact that it's following similar trajectory to other coins just like this. So, the what is it? Solana, ADA, and there's a few others just recently that took off. They're doing very, very well right now. And I can tell you that this is following suit. So this is the next big coin I think is going to take off. That being said, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Sorry for the ramble there. We'll go ahead and see you in the next video. Hope you have a good one. Take care. Thank you.